And I'm here. How's everyone this evening? Hope you all had a great week. Here up in the Northeast, we are sliding right into spring. It's getting warmer by the day. So we are going to have a topic. I decided to do this topic today. Is it healthier for men to date women who are much younger? Is it a good idea for the older guy to date the much younger woman? That's the question we're asking. What's going on, Victorino? I see you in the house, Romeo. So we're going to take on this conversation, and I have my thought. I actually have my own personal thoughts about it. And then I started poking around and doing some research. And you know what? Man, there are some benefits to dating women who are much older. I mean, much younger. And 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 there are no benefits to an older woman dating a younger guy. And the benefits are not only to the man and to the woman, the benefits are to society, man. And the research, I lucked up on it or unexpectedly found it. I think you're going to be thoroughly impressed. And I think it should give every man some incentive to find himself a much younger woman. Yes, Victorino, I'm going to do a screen share and I'm going to share some articles. This way you don't think that I'm just spewing stuff from my own thought. These are not opinions. This is the world of science where they sit down and do studies and scientific research. And we're going to do that tonight. And we're going to chill. We're going to do YouTube and chill, where we like to talk about life, love, relationships. We especially like to talk about the intimacy of relationships, especially when it involves sex. And we're going to be talking about sex between older men and younger women and why it's a good idea. So, like this, when you come in, smash that thumbs up on YouTube. If you're on Instagram and you want to see some of the screen shares, you can pop on over there, or you can keep watching because I'll read the important parts of the articles. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, smash that bell so you can get notifications and share this one. I see you in the house, country boy. I know you were here early. I put in the wrong time. I apologize. I normally do this at 7 and I was jumping on at 7:30, but just my mind is always set for 7 and I put the wrong time in. So I apologize if you came in here earlier. Okay. So we're live, YouTube and chill. And this is Friday night. So we kind of sit back, we chill. We're going to talk about some sex. We're going to talk about good loving between a younger woman and an older man, and even share a couple of stories that I've heard. And if you guys want, I'll share even my own personal. I've been down that path. I did the older woman more than 10 years, hell, even way more than 10 years. And then I did the younger woman, 10 years, 15, 20 years younger. So I've been on both ends of the spectrum. And science says, as men, it is in our best interest, it's in the woman's best interest, and it's in society's best interest that we date the young chicas, as the women tell me. The younger women accuse me of liking the young chicas. So, country boy, yeah, I think you're going to like this one. I always appreciate your support. I drop my PayPal and my Cash Apps in there, so you can always support me. Scobe, good to see you. Yes, Uncle Ted is in the house. I won't ask you to call me Teddy like my nieces do. All right, cool. Yeah, you can just, you know what? I'll drop the. I'm not doing what do you call it? Blog talk with the phone number. So I'll drop the link so you can drop in a screen. So let me share a couple of things first. If you haven't smashed the like, smash it. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that now. So there are a number of really interesting articles. So I don't have to give any opinions about this. I mean, I can, but we're going to get to the facts. Just the facts, man. Just the facts. You guys know. Let's see. You know, they have 1,000 videos for younger women wanting to date the older guy. So which one do I want to give you first? Let's do the science daily. Let's get down right to the scientific paper. Let's get to the source of it all. I'll do a screen share. So, you know, I was ready to, and I'll tell you my thoughts later, but I was ready to talk about this whole thing. And we talk about the wall, the woman hitting the wall, and why would a younger guy want an older woman? You know, when I was seeing a woman who was 13 years older than me, I was 20, she was 33. Like, why would I want to be 30, married to a 43-year-old woman and wanting to have children, raise a family? You know, you hit 50, she's over 60, you hit 60, she's in her 70s. And based on science is even going to say why that's a bad idea to be a younger guy with an older woman. These are not my thoughts. So for any of the ladies watching, don't shoot the messenger. So we're going to pull up an article here. So the topic, guys, for those of you just jumping in and Instagram, and you're just jumping in here and YouTube, I'm asking a question. You know, I like to always ask a question. Is it healthier for men to date much younger women? And I thought of a second question for this show, which is, does society benefit when older men date younger women, and significantly younger women, not like 5 or 10 years, more than 10 years younger? Is it good for the man? Is it healthier for the man? Is it good for society? Well, I found an article on Science Daily, and this is an interesting paper, November 28th, 2018. The summary: genes that act late in life could explain why women have poorer health than men in older age, according to new research. Did you guys hear that? Genes that act late in life could explain why women have poorer health than men in older age. That's according to new research. That's 2018. So, and that's November. So we're looking at 2.5 years ago. Just want to stream team. Good to see you in the house, man. Yeah. So these won't be my words. Yeah, and country boy, sometimes that experience isn't even good that older women have. But these are not my words. We're gonna deal just the facts, man. Wasn't that Dick Tracy or someone? Just the facts. So we're gonna deal with research says, top answers on the board. This article starts off: genes that act late in life could explain why women have poorer health than men in older age, according to new research. Scientists have long wondered why older women are less healthy than older men, given that men at any given age are more likely to die than women. So we all know men tend to die sooner, yet a 70-year-old man and 70-year-old woman, the man is healthier than a woman. They say that's a puzzle known as the male-female health survival paradox. So men die sooner, yet women have poorer health. They're more likely to have dementia and all kinds of other, problems. Their bones erode faster. But so this is what the scientists are after. They want to answer this question. And the answer, according to University of Exeter scientists, is intractulous sexual conflict, genes that benefit one sex but harm another. So what are they saying? What is that? They're going to explain what this intractulous sexual conflict. The researchers, so in this, look, this is going to also answer why it's beneficial for older men to date younger women. So women have poorer health. There are some genes that benefit one gender that don't benefit the other. This is more proof that we were not created equally. Men and women are not equal. And they can say that, yes, men die sooner, but women have much poorer health. So the researchers used mathematical models and experimental data on files to show that such genes can easily spread if they take effect after female reproduction stops. So you don't want, so when a woman hits menopause, let me read the article. So shared genes tether the sexes together in an evolutionary tug of war, said Professor David Hoskin of the University Exeter. Selection is trying to push females and males in different directions, but the shared genome means each sex stops the other from reaching its optima. Basically, certain genes will make a good male but a bad female, and vice versa. However, after females reaches menopause, they no longer reproduce to pass on their genes, which means selection, which is reproduction, on females is greatly weakened. So after that point, any genes that improve late life male fitness will accumulate, even if they harm the female fitness. Right? You get that after the point where the females, certain genes selection, certain genes on females are greatly weakened. And after that point, any genes that improve late life male fitness will accumulate even if they harm female fitness. Professor Hoskins said it was important to note that survival and health are not the same thing, right? So you may survive, women may live longer, but they may not be as healthy. And that the accumulation of late life male benefit genes hinged upon males' ability to continue reproducing after the age of female menopause. The experimental data on files supported the findings of the mathematical models on humans, as genes that were better at late life male reproduction tended to be worse for females. So that's science saying that, as men, we have some genes that benefit us. We're healthy, we get older, we still can reproduce. And if we pass those genes on to women, it will hurt those women. And I guess if that's sexual interaction, we can end up damaging her. Her body cannot support it. So someone broke that article down a bit. And let's see. Okay. So women hit more than one wall, what we're going to talk about here. There's another wall that women hit. And this article, it feeds off the one I just read you, but this article is going to talk about a second wall that women hit. And it's why it's better that an older man is with a younger woman. So these are just the scientific. We're going to get into some other stuff. Take a bite here. I had my Friday workout, so as Romeo, I did a little workout, still getting some food in my system. Title of this article is funny. This is ABC News website. Starts off as geezer power. Older men plus younger women equal longer lifespan. Check that out. This is going to feed off that paper, the study that I just did. So scientists say older men coupling with younger women increased human lifespan. You guys get that? Scientists say older men coupling with younger women increased human lifespan. Mr. Earl, what's going on? What's going on? I see you in the house. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Yeah, country boy. It's natural. Definitely. It's natural to want a younger woman. But we're going to get into why maybe it's just completely natural. It may be the order of things. You know, when my grandparents, on my father's side, married, my grandfather was 21 and my grandmother was 16. And they got married, you know, before the whole feminist movement, and no one blinked an eye. That was not a problem. She was 16. She could consent. Now people would be ready to throw you in jail for that. But that was very normal. My grandmother married at 16 and they stayed together until my grandfather died at 90. My grandmother's still alive. So perhaps we've allowed, feminism has maybe disrupted the natural order of the way humans were designed to mate together. So, and hear why I'm saying that. So this article is dated September 18th, 2007. And it starts, scientists think they have found one of the reasons why humans defy evolutionary theory and live well beyond their reproductive life. It's all those old guys latching on to younger women and passing their good genes down to their kids. And it says, no kidding. This is not a joke. The article goes on to say, for decades now, evolutionary biologists have argued over a conundrum. There isn't much reason for members of any species to hang around after they no longer reproduce, because according to theory, they've already fulfilled their role in life. But humans tend to stick around for a long time after their traditional childbearing years are over. Years ago, the issue caught the attention of one of the pillars of evolutionary biology, William Hamilton, who died in 2000 after contracting malaria during a biological expedition in Africa. Hamilton wrestled with what came to be known as the wall of death. There's a new wall for women. Once reproduction ends, according to the wall theory, any biological system winds down abruptly. And women suffer from the wall of death, this is saying, because their health drops. Once they can no longer reproduce, their health declines significantly. It's why, and men can continue to reproduce. So if a man and woman marry at age 50, and the woman goes that she's at menopause, she can no longer reproduce, the man can still reproduce. Her health is declining, and he can still reproduce. So he's still remaining healthy. But listen to this. Hamilton argued that when an organism stops reproducing, it is more susceptible to mutations that reduce its chances of survival. Thus, death should come quickly. But all he had to do was glance around his home in England to see that there was something wrong with his own theory. People weren't dropping dead after females entered menopause. So Hamilton started looking for other factors that might influence human longevity. One of the theories that came out of that is the grandmother hypothesis. In early human history, some older women made themselves useful by helping their daughters and even their granddaughters raise their children. That helping hand gave the kids a better chance to survive, thus preserving and ultimately passing along some of grandma's genes. Yeah, I just want to also comment about that. That's something that we're missing in society, because the other thing that those older women, the grandmothers, they were very good at checking their granddaughters. They checked them from whoring around, running in the streets. They would tell them, look, this is going to work against you. They were old enough, they were seasoned enough to be able to say, it's not going to be a pretty journey. You hit the wall of beauty, right? That's the first wall. And then they hit the wall of death. Their reproduction stops. So those older women had a lot of power in getting younger women to be in line. So we've kind of thrown that out. So this guy goes on and says, and since grandma lived long enough to help raise great-grandkids, then she must have had some pretty good longevity genes. Makes sense. And several other studies over the past few decades continue to focus on the role of women in human longevity, since there was somewhat a consistency in age when women stopped reproducing. But now, 3 scientists, all males, by the way, have taken a fresh look at the issue and produced a lot of data suggesting that men are part of the equation too. Their study, Why Men Matter, Mating Patterns Drive Evolution of Human Lifespan. So their study was called Why Men Matter, Mating Patterns Drive Evolution of Human Lifespan. All right, that's what he's going to get into now. He's going to talk about how men support the evolution of extended life in humans. And that was published in a recent edition of PLOS, an online public access science journal. The study was conceived by Shripad Tuljapurkar, an internationally known expert on population at Stanford. So we got a Stanford guy working on this. Cedric Poliston, a doctoral candidate in biology at Stanford and a co-author of the study, said the researchers wanted to see if men also played a role in increasing human lifespan. So here's what they said. If men and women have different life histories in terms of survival and reproduction, does it make sense to look at what's going on in both sexes? Poliston said. So they brought in another guy, colleague, anthropologist, Michael Gervin from the University of California, Santa Barbara. And that guy compiled extensive records of longevity, fertility, and of several what he did is looked at hunter-gatherers. So let's see. I want to pull this other. I might do something I don't normally do. I might have to switch around a bit here. Uh, where is that article? Oh, it's this one. Yep. Okay. So which one are we looking at? So I read that to give you guys some background here. So that's from ABC News. So you had some highly credentialed people working on that. Okay. Oh, this must be NBC News. Yes, NBC News. This is another article. Older men with younger women, good for all. Older men who shack up with much younger women keep the grim reaper at bay for the human population and extend our species' lifespan, new research claims. And this is September 17th, 2007. Gina Briner. So we have a woman writing it. So she basically talks about how if an older man is shacks up with a younger woman, it helps keep the grim reaper from population. And here's how it works. And they're going to show you some real benefits, and they're going to show you civilizations, communities in different countries. So it says women often lose their reproductive capacity around age 50, but if men can still reproduce in their 70s, Darwin would say it's advantageous for males to live longer lives, providing they can hook up with women. So you would think that men should just live longer because they can continue to reproduce. So here's what happens. Natural selection should favor longevity boosting genes. So there are genes that we have that boost longevity, and they are in the men. Men have them. Women cannot sustain when women go into menopause, they lose this, right? So the result is over time, the older guy with younger gal lifestyle would lift the lifespan ceiling for both men and women in the next generations. So the older guy with a younger woman is he's passing on these longevity genes to the younger woman, and those children inherit those longevity genes, which give them a longer life. So it says by increasing the survival of men, you have a spillover effect on women because men pass on their genes to children of both sexes, said. So both sexes get the increased longevity. The wall of death, from an evolutionary perspective, women who can no longer reproduce are non-players. And since it takes two, men partnered with menopausal women are also irrelevant. So men who can continue to reproduce, partnering with women who could pass menopauses, she can't take on his this longevity gene that he has. In fact, it can work against her. Following that idea, natural selection should select for harmful mutations that impact women after menopause. Over time, the discriminating genes would accumulate in the population, causing what evolutionary biologist William Hamilton called the wall of death, in which morality of women spikes at the onset of menopause. So here's where you can they're showing you. So right here, they're showing in Canada, men showed fertility. Men had fertility until they were 55 years old. In this Kung nation, it was 55, and in Gambia, it's 75. And Yanomamo, 70. So what they were saying is that where these civilizations, where the men were fertile at a much older age, is because they had a tradition of putting older guys with younger women, which lifted the lifespan, the longevity of the people in that area. That's what they're saying. If you want your people to have longer lives, you need to put older guys with younger women. I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you, Tanya. So we can make it Saturday. Shoot me an inbox. DM me a time. We'll do it tomorrow. So science is saying, if you want a healthier society, you want to see older guys with younger women. That is what science is saying. If you keep putting the same age, if you have men and women the same age, or if they're within 2 to 5 years, where the man is 2 to 5 years older, she cannot benefit from his longevity genes that he'll have that are stronger as he gets older, and he passes them on. So that's what they're saying. In these societies where it's more acceptable for a woman to be dating an older guy, that's why we hear these people living to be really old in some of these societies. You know, we've been saying, yeah, it's clean air and clean water, or at least clean air. I mean, hell, I lived in a jungle and it was lots of clean air. What they're saying, it's more to it. There's like some science to this. So is this saying that by nature, men, biologically, we have not only a biological right, evolution demands that we date younger women. And we can talk about some of the other pitfalls of a guy not dating a younger woman, or a younger guy dating a older woman. So what do you guys think about all this? You know, Tanya, that I don't doubt that happens, and I wonder about the health of those men to start. So if you have men who are older, they're 50s, 60s, and they're healthy, they're going to have a longevity gene that they pass on. That's what they're finding. So you're an engineer. You can respect and honor research, but that's what they're finding. So because as they get older and that gene that they pass on is stronger, if their wife is the same age when they're 55, she cannot benefit from it at all. She can't pass it on. See, because when he passes on that longevity gene, it's his children, the boys and girls, that inherit it, that increases their lifespan. So if a guy is not healthy, then um, maybe a woman shouldn't be making children with him. I mean, that should answer your question. Well, this is new research they've come up with, because they couldn't understand why is it women live longer except men are healthier as they get older. So a man and woman who are both 70, the man is healthier, generally speaking, than his 70-year-old wife. They're the same age, or he could be 2 years older. He's healthier than the woman. So they were trying to figure out what's going on. Why is it the man dies, yet he's still healthier than the woman? And we all know when a woman hits 35, there are complications. There's a chance of complications. Her genes are not as strong in terms of longevity. Yeah, there's I dropped it in the description. There are a few articles on it. Let's see, the one I just read. See, they're saying that in societies where it's more common for men to continue to reproduce with younger women when they get older, when they get past 50, the men in that community, in that country, uh, the future men continue to be able to produce children. They're still fertile. And so in our societies where we are really into having the man and woman be the same age within 2 to 5 years, the man is not passing on his longevity gene to someone who can benefit, and that longevity gene becomes stronger as he gets older. I didn't make up this whole thing of women being 35 being a higher risk, because about 100 years ago, when women were 35, the doctors used to, a 35-year-old woman who was pregnant, they used to call them geriatric pregnancies. That's what they used to say. That's not my idea. So I didn't make that up. That's what they called them years ago, geriatric pregnancies. Of course, we don't do that, and we have a politically correct society now. Some women are healthy. You know, there are always outliers. You cannot use outliers as a rule of thumb. Lots of women are 35 and they're not healthy. Hell, today we have less health than ever. And I wonder if we've damaged our society by, and I was saying early on, my grandparents, when they married, my grandfather was 21, and my grandmother was 16. That was normal. If you go into Latin America, it's normal to see a 15-year-old girl dating a 25-year-old guy. No one blinks an eye. Here we have a problem. So those guys have a better chance of being older and impregnating their wives, and her being able to benefit from this longevity gene. And maybe we see healthier people, even though you have health defects and you have problems, they don't have the same health care. But if you go out, I lived in the countrysides of Latin American countries, And you will see men and women who are healthy and robust. Malcolm, why'd you call me Malcolm? So, Scobe, did you still want to come up and chat? I want to hear your thoughts about. I want to hear your thoughts about this, Scobe. Oh yes, outliers, right? Outliers. That's right. Not everyone's an outlier. Just only a small percentage of the population. Otherwise, it's not an outlier. You may be an outlier. You cannot assess other women based on you. And you're 6 foot even, I think. That makes you an outlier in terms of height for women. That's like an extreme outlier. How many women are 6 feet? I mean, if you come up here to New York, there are lots of models. You'll see a lot of women who are around that height. It's still an outlier, though, even up here. I mean, New York is not the norm for the rest of the US or even the world. So, guys, younger women. Younger women are what's in a star's view. Younger women are in society's best interest. To have a strong evolutionary gene pool, you guys shouldn't be dating women your age. Hell, if you're 20, your wife hasn't even been born yet. Okay. Yes, this would have been interesting. You guys are worried about some of these women who've been misdirected and told that they can do whatever men can do. There are a lot of women who are learning that. So then we get to country boy, what you were talking about. So a lot of older women they've been with a lot of different dudes, right? So we talk about microchimerism, and we talk about a lot of other things where an older woman may be passing on things that you don't want to pass on to your children. So if she's got the DNA of 20 men in her, that may not have the positive impact that we want. And your children, hell, they may end up not looking like you at all. They may look like the last two guys. So that's a problem. So some of you guys are going to have to sit tight. And for the record, anyone who says that older men date younger women because they can control them, you need to think about that. So let's say you're 40 years old and you're dating a 25-year-old woman. If you're 40 years old as a man and you date a 40-year-old woman and she's never been married or has no children, even if she has children, she doesn't have the same sexual marketplace value. So she can't just throw her weight around with you and say, I'll just do whatever I want. I don't care. If she attempts to be uncooperative, it'll put her back in the dating market, the dating pool, where her value isn't high. But if you date a 25-year-old woman, her sexual marketplace value is high. She's more likely to be hard-headed. A 25-year-old woman can be more hard-headed than a 40-year-old woman because the 25-year-old woman, she knows she can go back into the sexual marketplace and be marketable, much more marketable than a 40-year-old. So a 40-year-old woman has what you say is less options. The 25-year-old has more options. So she doesn't even care what you say. She's going to do what she wants. So people who say older men date younger women to control them, they haven't thought about this. A younger woman will just say, forget you, I'll do what I want. An older woman will think twice because she knows what she's going to be facing when she goes out there. As a 40-year-old, a 45, a 50-year-old, it's easier to reason with them. So taking a younger woman for sorry, my phone rang. Taking a younger woman just for so you can control her. You know, women have jobs, and even if she didn't, I think a lot of older women attempt to say that. That's more of a shaming tactic. It's to say that young women are so dumb that they don't know what they're doing. I guess that's a projection, right? So I guess a lot of women felt like they were dumb. I mean, just naturally, you know, and the other thing, there's another article in there that says that people stereotypically say younger women choose older men because of daddy issues. And that wasn't what they found in most cases, like almost 75%. I think it was 73% of the time. They didn't find that. They found that people had affinity, love, an older man, younger woman, and she wasn't a gold digger. Many of these women had education, they had jobs, so they were not looking for a guy to take care of them. I mean, they may be looking for emotional stability and job stability, financial stability, and a guy who's older, he's more stable in his career, and they may think that he's less likely to chase other women. But hell, I mean, that doesn't stop it. That doesn't stop it from happening. What else? So these are. I just wanted to read that research and show that we may be weakening society by having this sort of by having this sort of politically correct environment where we shame men for dating women who are much younger. So that 45-year-old guy dating that 25-year-old woman is giving that woman longevity genes that she passes on to her children because she's of childbearing age. Even that 50-year-old guy dating that 30-year-old woman, that's a good match because as the research shows is he's 50 and if he's healthy, he's passing on some great genes to her, which means she's going to have stronger kids. And yes, the guy, if he's more economically stable, better in his career, they talk about how some women may want the guy, he's got a good network, and she can benefit from that, you know, personally or even professionally. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, if anything, a younger woman benefits more from an older guy than a guy does. For the guy, he gets a nice, theoretically speaking, he gets a nice tight body if she's taking care of herself. So a 50-year-old guy with a 25, or let's just say a 30-year-old woman, and if she stayed physically fit, he gets a better body from a 30-year-old woman than the average 50-year-old woman. And he's got this, you know, longevity gene that he can pass on, and their children will be stronger. Now, there's a woman in here who said something about older men having children who are likely to have or be autistic. But there's also, you'd have to look at that holistically because there's also a relationship between autism and the booster, whatever you call those shots that they give us when we are infants. So you'd have to look at that whole spectrum and see what is the correlation, because I'm willing to bet it's not exact. So women benefit more from an older guy. She gets children who has longevity gene. She gets a guy who's wiser. He has better economics. He has a better network. He's supposedly less likely to chase after a bunch of other women. He can give her sound advice, wisdom. So like there's so many benefits. So that's a 50-year-old guy and a 30-year-old woman. But even if you're a 35-year-old guy with a 25-year-old woman, you technically are giving her benefits. And I think a lot of guys are marketing themselves as though the woman is way more valuable than the guy because she can bear a child. So what's going on, country boy? See you in the house.
Good evening, Ted. How's it going?
Oh, I'm pretty well. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm glad. Yes, sir. And particularly this topic, I said, Lord, it couldn't have came in no better time, Ted.
And why do you
Now
say
you
that?
see your audience. I wanted your audience to see firsthand exactly this, from the science and the traditional aspects of what I've been saying with you all this time about you not only just dating and courting, but marriage and procreating with a younger female. That's what I've been saying the whole time. But that
Go ahead.
younger female need to be she need to be groomed for that, Ted. She need to be brought up knowing what to do with a husband.
That's interesting. I know a guy, he might be about 90 right now. And he told me he went to high school in the 1950s. And he said in high school, they had courses about relationships, about marriage, about how to be a husband. There was only boys in the class, and they had one for only girls, how to be a wife. And he said they taught the boys about sex. They taught them about the woman's sex organs. They taught them. They told them about everything. He said. I mean, it was in a respectable way, but it was education. So they taught them. That means they taught the girls how to be a wife as part of high school education.
Of course they did, and that's the mindset that I still have in this thought hookup culture we living in right now. I still got the old world traditional husband type of quality to myself, but now you got this red pill mentality when dealing with certain females now. But
You
they can't see
have,
that, Ted, and they
you
gonna lose every time until they catch on to what these dudes saying.
you have a TV on in the background.
Oh, I thought I cut that thing. Forgive me for that. Cut this thing down.
So, what do you think of the science I put? I know not everyone's interested in science, right? But
Oh,
it's saying
science
that.
important.
Yep. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, no. Go ahead.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna
Go ahead.
say science is important because it in a way to science correlates to the Bible. If you go by anything of that Bible, some of that science just not catching up to it.
So, one of the things I'm thinking, so if you just look at the past several decades where they've pushed harder for couples to be about the same age, and you go back years ago, it was okay for a 16-year-old girl to marry a 25-year-old guy, right? And so if they had children when he was 35 and his longevity gene is getting stronger, she's passing that on to their children. And so, people talk about, the guys who are in the NFL, like Jim Brown, right? They're born decades ago, right? And they say those men were rugged. They were less likely to get hurt and they didn't get sick. So maybe they were being, because their fathers were older than their mother. I'm just saying theoretically, right? Those men were more masculine. They were manly. They didn't get sick. They were rugged men. We always talk about how those guys, the more you go back in time, the men were rugged back then. And maybe part of the reason was because many of them had fathers who were much older than their mothers. And he passed on these genes that you only develop stronger as you get older. And women cannot take advantage of that if they're the same age as the guy. So basically, you start to weaken society.
And basically, that's what it has become with this feminism movement. That's what they done. Now the men, they talking about where all the men is. Now we still here, but it's a good percentage of some of these men out here that don't have all those rugged characteristics and the traits of our forefathers. It's a lot of that going on there. They trying to remove all that masculine stuff.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
catch on what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
If
that's
you notice it, they talking about masculinity is toxic. That's what they say.
right.
But you still need masculinity in society, though, Ted. That's what I'm saying.
So maybe this research is pointing to why younger women should be with older men. It's in the best interest of society.
You would think.
So, if you go in Latin America, where here people accuse them of being machismo, and it's more common to see a 25, 30-year-old guy with a 15, 16-year-old girl, and they get married, they have kids, and he gets to pass on these longevity genes.
But
So
that's not happening right now.
in Latin America, it's still happening.
But here it's not. That's dwindled right here in the USA.
Yeah, and that's a problem. So we have the cream puff society. People can't handle things. We may have um, how do you say, we may have made it out. Uh, we may be mating out a strong species of humans in the U.S. and don't realize it. And so a lot of guys attempt to overcompensate with guns and, I'll put a cap in you and they're tough. And that's what they consider being tough. But there were guys who were just rugged back in the day. And women claim that they like that ruggedness. But as you said, they call it toxic. So,
And then at the same time, it's hard to discern what's rugged and uh
uh,
what's the term I'm trying to use between rugged and just downright crazy to these so-called F boys that they just want to sleep with. That's all he good for. But they complain is they want that same type of dude they want to sleep with, and then have that same type of dude to be their resource and they provide at the same time. That's what I'm starting to see. But they can't have it both ways. You can only get one or the other. That's what Kevin Samuel's been telling me.
I got you.
And for a lack of words, you need to get you an average dude, a hard working 9 to 5 dude, and just be through with it. But
So
they not doing
it. So maybe men need to be more open about dating women who are younger. So I've dated women who are much younger than me, and other men attempted to put me down for that. They asked me, why are you dating women who are younger? Why can't you just date someone your age? And I asked them, what's the difference?
And I really get mad and frustrated when folks get to asking you stuff like that. Cause really, to be technical with them, Ted, it really ain't none of their business. If you attracted to somebody that's 20 or 30 years younger than you, that ain't got nothing to do with them. Why they so hell bent on your business? All of a sudden, you see what I'm saying? People miss it more now than ever, Ted.
Well, that's correct. But so people have been so conditioned to think it's wrong that you're taking advantage. And I can't say it more. It's easier to control a woman who's older because she has less options in the sexual marketplace. A woman who is 25, 30 has way more options than a 50-year-old woman. So the 50-year-old woman knows that it's not so easy to just run out there and find someone. And when women get in their 50s, they really start to understand what it means to be alone.
Oh, most definitely. They gonna find that if they haven't found that by now, Ted. They getting ready to find it.
Yeah, they do. They do. Spirit conscious, thanks for
Cause
joining.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that's unfoundable to me, Ted, for me to be sexually attracted to a woman old enough to be my mother or my grandma. That sounds completely out of order, Ted. I haven't never heard or seen no such foolishness in my life. All these dudes my age messing with women old enough to be your mother. That's wrong, Ted. They dudes 30 years old messing around with 70, 80-year-old women. Where they do that at, Ted? That's out of order. But I just say to each his own, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah, there's no benefit to that. Yeah. Hey, the big exclusive. Yeah, I deep down, some of those guys are probably jealous, and maybe uh, me laughing at them probably doesn't help. I'm one guy, and it's like 10, 12 of them, and they're all married to women their age, and they're telling me, "Oh, I've got to hide my daughter from you," and all that stuff. So, I mean, if you ask me, if I'm dating someone 20 years younger than me, and you ask me why are you doing that, the real answer is because I still can. That's the answer. I'm still able to attract women that age, and not because they're looking for a sugar daddy. I understand there are plenty of women who I hear words like paymaster and all this stuff. But there are women, especially now, if you think now, right? So if you're a guy who's over 40, think about this. A lot of women told their husbands or boyfriends they didn't need them. And so basically they pushed them out one way or another, right? I don't need you. I can do this on my own. And so she becomes out of control, right? Honorary and out of control. So the guy is gone. So now her son is getting older and ready to go off to college and have his own life. A lot of women enable their sons to stay home. So what happens if more and more women make it okay for their sons to stay home? And some of them chase the daughter out the house and let the son stay. He plays video games. He doesn't have to be responsible. So if you get a percentage, 1, 5, 10% of young guys in their 20s, and the mothers keep them home so that she doesn't have to be alone. She still has a man in the house. What does that do for the women their age who don't want to marry a guy who's still living at home with his mama playing video games? Those women are still looking for a viable solution, mating solution. So if she's 25 and he's 25 and he's living in a basement, she might date him and have a good time. But when she's ready to settle down, she might be looking for a guy she's going to be open to a guy who's over 40. Because her selection of men who are responsible gets smaller because too many of their mothers kept them home. So it really is kind of a shooting fish in a barrel. I kind of hate to say that, but there are more women interested in older guys for a love relationship, not looking for money. She's looking for someone who's going to be stable emotionally, financially, and if you have a good network, good connections, hell, she benefits from that.
And plus, that man benefits Ted, in particular, if she comes with a clean womb and a clean uterus. He able to procreate with her.
Yeah, that's I was saying. Right. So if a woman is 40 years old and she's been with 10, 15, 20, some of these women have been with 100 different guys. Um, you want to be mating, creating children with the uterus that is that kind of environment. The big exclusive. People almost expect that celebrities are going to date younger women. They maybe society gives them a pass. Women still are not happy about it. Um, I went to my high school reunion years ago, and one of the women in my high school she said, in the next 10 years, 10 years from now, all of you single guys are going to have women who are young enough to be our children. She was like, so we already understand how that's going to work. So I think women expect it, even if they're not happy about it. Especially if you're a guy who stays healthy as you get older. And that just at Country Boy, I want to hear what you're going to say. But that's another thing. So men who it's easier for a man to stay healthy as he gets older and be able to still attract women who are younger. But so and I don't know if you heard what I was reading, the big exclusive, but there's actually a what they call a longevity gene that men have, and as they get older, it gets stronger. That same gene can weaken a woman because she can no longer reproduce, but for a man, it makes him more powerful, more vibrant. And when he passes that longevity, if he has children with a woman who's younger than him, as he gets older, that longevity gene gets stronger, and he gets to pass it on to a younger woman. So he's got this strong gene that benefits both male and female children, and then it benefits society. So maybe society, for humans, the smartest thing for us to do is have older men date younger women. And what it does is it passes that gene on. So the children are born with it. It makes them stronger and they live longer. And the men will be able to reproduce or procreate as they get older. So maybe this whole thing of having to be the same age is going against the design. Maybe there's a design to being a human being. Go ahead, Country Boy.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't disagree with you because if you look at it, like you said, if you look at it from a technical and an ethical aspect, it would appear, that like a few coaches done told me to men don't hit their stride until they get into their late 30s, early 40s.
Right.
So it would make sense for somebody in his 40s and 50s plus be trying to, trying to look for somebody that's 20 or 30 years younger than him. That's how my mind works.
So you have some time then. That's good news for you, isn't it?
So in the meantime, all I've been doing is trying to build up a net worth and trying to get my business off the ground, get some finances together. You know what I'm saying? By the time I get to where you at, as far as age wise,
right.
I'll be in a position, to attract all them young girls.
Right. So okay, so a couple of things here. If you're a young guy still in your 20s and you're saying the women are not really good, it seems like science is saying, forget those women who are your age. As men, we always look at what's in the best interest of the whole. So we may have in the past 4 or 5 decades where there's been this social construct. Like we killed off that social construct where the 16-year-old girl marries the 25 or 35, 30-year-old guy. We killed that off, right? And perhaps that social construct was making men rugged because they were inheriting this longevity gene, and no one knew scientifically what was happening. It was just men were rugged, right? And they were stronger. They didn't get colds like now. So we killed off a social construct, and we may have weakened society at the same time. So what I'm asserting is, if you're in your 20s and the women are not good and they're thotting it up, forget that, because there are a lot of girls behind them who are actually seeing how it doesn't work. Yes, I know there are a lot of women out there, young girls who are running the streets because they think they can, because they watch their mothers and grandmothers do it. But there are a lot of women, young girls, who are seeing that it didn't work. So if you're in your 20s, just hold tight, man, because there's some woman out there who is very young who's going to be a candidate. And if you can catch her young enough, like early 20s, and she hasn't run the streets, you'll be better off. Just like Country Boy was saying, she has a cleaner womb, you know. And there's this Generation Z. They're not as fascinated about sex. In fact, there are more virgins in the girls than the other generation. So they've seen how certain things didn't work. So if you're in your 20s, man, in early 30s, like relax, right? So this is your opportunity. Just think of yourself as being I hate to say it this way. Think of yourself as being in little league football and you want to play in the NFL. That means you have to train your butt off for what you want. You want to go to the pros, you want the kind of woman you want, you're gonna have to and in one aspect, take the woman out. So there's a life you want, right? There's a career you want, there's a business you want. You're gonna have to develop your own mind, your financial capacity, how to manage and understand money. You're going to have to really be able to communicate, resolve conflict, and be able to accomplish all the things that you want. Sort of like building a nest. Like there are some birds, the male bird will build a nest to attract the female. This is your opportunity to build up the mental muscle, right? Build a physically strong body, a mentally strong head, understand money, understand business, understand how to network with people. And it makes it easier for you to be able to put your demands and have the kind of communication skills that you'll need to speak to a younger woman so that she can understand a perspective that the guys older than you, right? The guys my age or older than me, they didn't have that because they were trying to buy affection from women. I think a lot of you younger guys may be in a better position than you realize.
I'll agree. Just give it time, to just if they can hold on to maybe mid late 30s, then that's when they're gonna start to see a turnaround to you.
Develop yourself in the meantime. It's like if you were in Little League, you want to go to the NFL. Well, you're in Little League, you need to train. You need to train for speed, for power, for moves, for whatever position you want. You need to train for that. And if you're in Little League or even in high school playing football, you can't be upset that you're not in the pros because that's a whole nother league, right? So just be okay with where you are. I know there are lots of guys who do want to have a great family. There are a lot of lessons that are going to come out in the self-destructive behavior we're watching. And there are a lot of women who are upset with red pill and black pill and MGTOW and CISPAM and all those, they're upset with him because men have turned their back and women have never seen that before. They don't understand it. The younger women are watching that. They're watching older women play a losing hand. And if they want
They
to
don't have
avoid
nobody to blame but they say
it, except themselves, right? So this is a huge opportunity for younger guys to develop yourselves. And I hate to say this, don't follow the path of the guys who are already out here. Don't the simps who just bend over backwards and do whatever they think they have to just do whatever a woman says or allow women to lead them. Women don't even want that. They don't even want a guy they can lead.
no, but they sure looking for somebody who they can control, Ted.
Yes.
That's a fact.
Hey, the big exclusive, he asked a good question. Do you think that older women or grandmas are still passing their wisdom on to their daughters? You said so. I'm going to assert there are communities where that still happens, where grandma still has influence, right? So you may look in some of the Hispanic communities, Asian communities. There are, and maybe even some of the more traditional Italian communities where they still where grandma doesn't speak English so well, so everyone has to learn Italian to be able to speak to the grandparents. I'll assert that, and especially if it's like Mandarin or Cantonese and the grandparents don't speak English well, or Korean. The fact that they didn't learn English, because when you learn English, you learn the culture, right? There's so much, there's more than just learning English. You get the whole culture passed on to you. And I'm sorry, I'm making my answers longer than you probably expected, but I know a woman, her son moved to China. He's still there. I don't know how long he's been there, 5 years or so. But he moved there and he was early 20s. And he said when he first arrived that walking around the streets of China was like white noise because he could hear people speaking and he understood nothing. So he had the freedom to walk around and not be influenced by anything that anyone was saying. He wasn't influenced by commercials, billboards, television. He couldn't watch anything. So he couldn't, because he didn't have the language skills, he couldn't be influenced by any Chinese culture. So if you think about that in the reverse in the US, where you have people from China or Italy or Latin America, they don't speak English, they walk the streets of the US and it's white noise. So they're less likely to be influenced by the culture in the US. They didn't learn the language, therefore they didn't learn the culture. So they don't even have a way to conform to the culture because they're not learning it. They may get some interpretations from their children who translate certain things, language, but they're not being indoctrinated with it. So I would assert that in those cultures where a second language is still dominantly spoken in the household, those grandparents, those grandmothers may have a much stronger influence over the daughters just going out and running the streets if that's not part of their culture, their language. Especially, you look at the Middle East, right? You come from the Middle East, man. Oof. Grandma's not going to tolerate her granddaughter running the streets, shaming their family name.
But real quick, Ted, if I may, I would like to bring up your grandparents again.
Okay.
Now, something that occurred to me back in those days that you were describing with your family. um, it was customary for that 25-year-old young man to get that mother and that father's consent to marry their daughter to you. If I'm
Right,
correct
right.
me if I'm wrong. So
It's
now where it happened to all of that? Those were the order of the times. For a man, a young lady to invite a young man home, to meet their father and their mother. So, the father get us some idea as to where this boy's mind is, dating his daughter, you know what I'm saying?
right, right.
But it seemed like today, all that done went out the window. People just buck wild now.
My
No
grandparents grew
kind
up
of order, no kind of structure.
right. My grandparents grew up in the same neighborhood. I think even on the same street. So they knew each other's families.
Right. I was just
So
bringing that point up because they, I don't know the mindset. I'm trying to hack the mindset of what's going on out here. Cause you know what I'm saying? It's too much wishy-washy stuff going on in this dating game right now.
well, people are getting married just based on feelings, and nothing else makes sense. And they don't find that out until it's too late.
Right. And then you done what's the phrase they used here? They court rate that man. That's what they call it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah. Divorce. Yeah, divorce rate.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see.
Right,
And the family court system, with the child support system, all that stuff, that's messed up.
right.
But when them older men was marrying younger, you didn't have all those problems. You see where I'm getting at it.
Well, there was something else also that might have been beneficial in the past is that women expect to learn from their boyfriend, their significant other, right? Women, they want a man who's mentally and physically stronger than them. So imagine, so nowadays, even though women still want a man who's intellectually smarter, we teach girls that they're smarter than boys, and we also teach them to compete. So even if the guy is smarter, she still will try to compete with him instead of her being able to get any kind of knowledge or guidance from him. A woman who's younger will more likely, she's much likely to be open to guidance and direction from someone who's older because she knows that the guy's got to have some experience she doesn't have.
I can agree.
So a woman your age may be more likely to try and compete with you, even in even in cases where she knows that you have that she should be learning from you, and she knows that you're smarter than her, but she's going to try and compete with you to show that uh, whatever this social construct of women are smarter than men. And I know people don't like the whole conversation about IQs, but here's the deal: men, there are more men who are on the extreme high end of IQs than women. But there are also more men on the extreme low end of IQs, right? So most women are pretty average, right? There are a few outlier women, but there are way more men who are much smarter than women. So women are more average, and I guess school is made for that. Where education it's made really for the average person, and it's made for girls. You can sit there and don't move and don't say anything and don't talk. Just memorize. Read the book and memorize it. Boys learn a little differently. We need a lot more activity. School is set up for girls. It's set up just like almost like an assembly line for the average person to just go right through it and get passed on to the next level. Hey, the big exclusive. I just want to make sure. Did I answer your question about whether or not I think older women or grandmas are still passing their wisdom on to their daughters?
Woo!
I mean, look, there are a lot of grandmothers in certain communities who are still trying to hang out in the nightclubs with their daughters and granddaughters, right? So those are not good examples of wisdom. And most young guys don't want to be dating a woman like that, right? You know, you're 25 and a woman's 45 still trying, and she's out there trying to hang with her granddaughters.
No moss, no moss.
Right.
I had to question it.
Yeah. And yeah. So I don't, I know I asked the question earlier today, are younger women healthier for men? And I think a couple of women said, well, young men are healthy for women, but I can't see how young men benefit from being with an older woman.
Now you said the right thing, Ted. I'm glad it came from your mouth.
I don't see it. Look at Demi Moore. She was dating, what's that? Justin Kutcher, whatever his name is. You know who I'm talking about?
I know exactly who you talking about.
It didn't
Now,
work out.
now I would be the outlier in this situation, Ted. Now, if I had to choose, Ted, dealing with an older lady, now this just me and this my little secret now, Ted. It'll be a Miss Halle Berry, a Tyra Banks, or Naomi Campbell, or a Lynn Underwood.
Okay.
If I had to choose from an older woman, now the old women, they got it.
Well, Halle Berry definitely still has a nice. It seems she still has a nice body. I haven't seen her
That
in a
lady kept
bikini or
herself up.
anything for a while, but yeah.
The old women kept themselves up to it. That's why I said if I had to choose an old lady, it'd be one of those. Even Diana Ross, if I'm not mistaken, that lady done kept herself up.
Well, if you want to have children, I don't know if those are the right women to have. See, they can't.
Now we getting into another conversation. Now you got to outsource you a surrogate to it. You
Exactly.
see what I'm saying? Now in these situations here, I would be something like a Arnold Schwarzenegger in that type of situation. I believe one of those women can open up some financial doors for me if I married in one of those families. That's my mindset.
But look,
You get where I'm coming from?
you need that mindset for any woman. So that is what all men need to make it clear to all women. Your job is to, as a woman, her job is to network and find doors to open up for him. That is her job. And her father needs to be teaching her that from a little girl to a teenager. And she needs to go into a relationship understanding that is part of her value, part of what makes her an asset, and it's tangible. And if she doesn't have that, well, then you need to be asking them, what have you been doing? Just running the streets, having sex? You've been networking, you've been plugged in, but plugged in not in a way you can open the door, you just opening your legs, right? So that doesn't benefit me.
So,
Like how
I throw deuces.
if a woman networked with 100 men who are all, high value, right? And she had no sex, just good communication with them, and she introduces her husband, that's valuable. If she had sex with all of them, Now what? Hey, the big exclusive. That's a good question. So, are older women sabotaging younger generation of women out of spite? So, that's a good question. Maybe I don't know if women would be interested in being part of that conversation, but it's a good question because do women really see that they got tricked? They were tricked by feminism. They were tricked to go down a dead end, and when they realized it was a dead end, they didn't want to admit it. So, so out of spite, they got the younger women to do the same thing because the older women see that they took a dead end and just took a bad path. They didn't win. There were no prizes. They were promised all this stuff, and none of the prizes were on that dead end. So, misery loves company. It's really a good question. So instead of them telling the younger women, hey, look, we went down this street, it didn't work. Don't follow us. Go the path of what our grandmothers and great grandmothers did. Instead of doing that, they let hell, they even give them worse advice to these young girls. So I
It would
wonder.
appear so.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying it would appear so that somebody told somebody the wrong advice.
Right. Well, the feminists just they needed numbers, right? So they wanted to be able to have women be able to marry other women. And so to do this, they needed more women to support a cause. So they made a cause that all women could get behind. They told all women, you're all being oppressed. This is horrible. Meanwhile, men are making inventions like washers and dryers and dishwashers and vacuum cleaners and cars and safety features, and uh, we're doing all this cameras, surveillance. We've got all these things to make women safer and have an easier life. And women said they're being oppressed. Meanwhile, men are going down in the coal mines and dying, working in steel mills and dying, working up on high rises, building skyscrapers and dying or risking their lives. And they're doing that every day, not for 9 months. They're doing it every day for years, decades, so that women can have uh, live in buildings that are safe from weather and have all the modern conveniences. And women said they were being oppressed by men who were doing all these things for them. When you think about it, it's insane, isn't it? So anyway, so sit tight, Kendrick. This young woman out there who hasn't been tainted, and you'll be fine.
Oh yes, sir. I believe that. I never doubted that for 1 second. Cause like you said about the younger girls that's coming along behind my age group that's really looking at what's going on. These young girls starting to see. Excuse me.
Right.
The younger girls, these what you call pre-teens and these late teens, they starting to see this stuff.
They are.
And as they becoming exposed to it, they'll see for their own selves that stuff not working. So the way I look at it, I stand in agreement with you. I'm cool with what's going on because I know it's gonna change sooner or later, Ted. But
Good,
I
good.
sure do appreciate your advice because I will hold on. Or I
Okay.
can wait, Ted.
But
I'm a patient man.
in the meantime, for your own fulfillment in life, um, stay focused on developing yourself, build your network, build your career skills, right? Enjoy life, travel, see things, learn insane things. Go travel to the desert, you know, drive across the US, do things that you can enrich and have a fulfilling life and have seen the things. And if you meet someone great, if you don't, you're still enjoying life, man. Increase your ability to communicate, increase your knowledge, develop wisdom. Things happen the way you don't want. It's okay, man. Develop skills and conflict resolution so you can resolve things. So if you do meet someone, you've got better skills to resolve, and she's gonna be learned what she's gonna see you as a guy that like you have something that I want. Like, and I don't mean money, like, wow, you've developed your mind and you know you're healthy. I want some whatever you've done in your life, I want a piece of that. And
Yes, sir.
that's a
And
woman,
you know,
that's a woman who has her head on a lot straighter. And she may not have any answers or many answers, except she'll see that you are a healthier representation of life than someone who's just out, you know, getting bottle service in a club every weekend and blowing your money.
oh, yes, sir, most definitely. Cause like I say, you know, uh, a gentleman like you and that David Goggins. Now that brother there, he my motivation right now. Cause
Cool.
me and him have some similar, the same background.
Okay.
So I really do appreciate what you telling me right now. Cause I really needed it, and I wish a lot of young brothers out here can listen to what you saying right now. I really do. The ones, Ted, that's on the edge and getting ready to, you know what I'm saying, getting ready to commit suicide. I really wish they can hear your message right now.
Hmm.
Cause there's more to life, man. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Exactly. Life is big, it's vast, and it's beautiful. Life is beautiful, man. There's so much to see and experience and be part of to create. Life is this creative act, man, and you get to create whatever you want. You just pulling stuff. You go to this state, to this country, you learn about this thing. It may be from a book, it might be from a stranger. Doesn't matter. Um, the big exclusive. That's it. He wrote something interesting. He said, I rarely see YouTube channels with older women passing on traditional old school relationship knowledge to younger women. And the very few I've seen seem to get shamed or insulted in comments. That's interesting. Um, who are you know what? If you know some of those women, drop me a line or drop them in a chats now or drop them in the comments later. That's unfortunate. Yeah, things work. And women are less happy. That's a whole different topic, but women are not as happy now as they were just 40 years ago. So it's like I said. Look, it's like I said. Uh, a lot of women went down a dead end and didn't want to admit it. Because once you admit that you got tricked into a dead end, you might feel stupid, right? You were taken advantage of, right? Why did they? So instead of telling the other girls, hey, 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 stop, this is a dead end, they're like, come on in. Come on, join us in this dead end. All right, cool, the big exclusive. Yeah, I'd like to know who they are. I'd like to check out some of those women. I might drop them a line. I'll drop some of them a line. I'll listen to what they said. Any last thoughts, country boy? And thanks for big exclusive. Good comments, great comments to sort of feed the conversation. Good questions too. Any last thoughts, country boy?
Ted, you never cease to amaze me, man. You know, this here couldn't have came in no better time because there was just a little bit of I'm a pinch back off of what we were talking about last Sunday. That these men gonna have to, the older men just gonna have to go and just wait and find them somebody younger who ain't tainted. And you just confirmed what I've been saying tonight.
Yeah.
So those were my family thoughts. So me and you, we on one accord with it.
Okay. Good. Good. And so, any ladies listening now or listening to the recording, if you ever want to think about what's in the best interest of society, us men carry these longevity genes, and as we get older, it's easier to pass them on to your children. So if you want your children to be strong and live on healthy, past you and pass those genes on to your grandchildren, get yourself an older guy. He's going to have economic stability, emotional stability, better able to resolve conflict, and you'll be able to learn quite a bit from him. But you'll be doing a good thing for society. Uh, bring back the strong, rugged guys, and that's going to be by marrying and having children with someone who's older than you, who can provide you with much more than the guys still living at home playing video games.
I just wanted to make one quick point to you. I find it highly strange and unusual that you don't hear too many older cats and even in particular these brothers out here, these pickup artists. None of them saying nothing what you just saying. All them out here just strictly talking about bedroom stuff, but ain't none of them pickup artists telling these young dudes just to wait until they get a little older and try to secure them a young bride.
Interesting.
Ain't there something?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. That's a good perspective, man. Thanks. Very interesting.
Yeah, that just give you something to think about.
So we just teaching guys how to make women disposable.
Or just to get them in the bedroom, but they not teaching dudes how to read women out for marriage,
Right.
relationship wise.
Well, if you're just doing it for the bedroom, that makes her disposable because you throw her away after that. She's disposable.
Right, but the conversation me and you had, we ain't just talking about no throwaway women. We talking about the conversation been geared towards finding the best suitable mate for you.
Yeah.
And now you just educated me on this longevity gene. I got to do some. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna do my homework on it. I never heard of it until you
Neither had
brought it up.
I didn't even know I was going to take this conversation in that direction, man. So not at all. So anyway, thanks for joining, everyone. Always love your support. This was YouTube and Chill, where we talk about the intimacy of relationships, and we're talking about why older men and younger women should be getting it on. Why they should be in. Forget that woman who's your age. Don't struggle. If she wants to compete, if she wants to completely comply and be cooperative, and she's not afraid of being a woman, a feminine woman, okay, cool. No man needs to be with a woman who's going to compete with him. Especially, the fact of the matter is, women are not competing with us. Otherwise, they would have just packed up, moved off, built their own civilization, and said they can do it better, but they haven't. They claim they don't need us while they're driving in cars we made, on roads we built, living in houses that we built. Come on a smartphone that made by us, right? So all that, they don't need us, and they're telling us using all the stuff they got from us. Give me a break. But that's a whole nother show. I'm not even going to go down that path, man. Anyway, you're welcome to Big Exclusive. Always love your feedback, man. And guys, see you Sunday for Straight Talk. We'll have a provocative conversation about something. We'll work up something that's going to ruffle the feathers of the world. Until then, enjoy the weekend, guys. Take care. Thanks, Kendrick. Good evening. Bye.